like logging in, but somebody else takes care of all the details. Or if you install like an open VPN software and then have a VPN server on the other side, you can just instantiate a connection directly into that network.
We were behind NATs in that case, so we couldn't go directly to it. So we had to use something like, yeah, had to have some intermediary help that way. And I mentioned here Windows. Microsoft had a Windows Live Mesh for a while. That was sort of a cloudy file sharing, but also a remote desktop thing, and they've let that go. But there's plenty of other ones out there that work with a central site to help hook you up to clients. Okay. Jumping into a couple other remote access things then.
Is that your script that runs PuTTY through, creates an SSH tunnel and then runs VNC?
Yes. Little shortcut.
You did that.
Auto IT. It wasn't very complicated, but I like Auto IT, so check that out if you want. Okay, so remote managing Linux machines when you don't need a full-on desktop, of course, SSH, right? Everyone can get into a Linux machine and run commands, as long as you know what command to run. Just a reminder on the sheet here, sometimes you want a full-on connection to a machine so that you can have interactive, you know, what's going on there, what's the uptime. But sometimes you just need to run a specific command. So root at machine here in this case and say, what? And then I just connected to the machine to run the one command. There's a couple of tools, old shell scripts really, fan out and fan term, that I occasionally use for this kind of a purpose. And they're kind of fun because you can fan out to a number of machines and say, well, how about on Robo2 and BSAC2 and Babushka? Let's find out what the uptime is. And this shell script says, well, I'm just going to do an SSH connection to each of them in turn and spit back the results.
This is your script, right?
I didn't write the script. I just found these and I thought, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
And this was years ago. I doubt they've even been updated, but I've still found them online. So if you search for fan out and fan term, you can find them.
So you're running SSH agent somewhere before.
Yeah, that's why I don't have to retype my password each of these times. If I didn't have the SSH agent, it would prompt me for a password for each of those 3 connections. And
Bash shell? Like
it's Bash. These were Bash scripts. Yeah. Fan term is similar. If I did same machines here, don't have to do it in quotes this time because it's actually going to make 3 separate little connections to them. And I can stretch these windows if I want, but what you'll see is if my cursor's back here in the original window, and I type there, I'm going to say that. I'm going to say what's uptime there. Now I can go to one specific window and say cd temp. And no, maybe I can't. Let's see.
It's a sandbox.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while.
Where am I now? No, okay, so that doesn't work.
Type shut down.
Yeah, let's try that. Let's try remove, no. Okay. Yeah. But, if I have a few machines and I wanted to go to CD, user SWW patch and go into Sun recommended, whatever, and tell them all 3 to go ahead and start patching, then regardless of what their 3 different patch levels are, they're all going to be running the same command and they'll get the patches they need. So that's kind of fun. I don't use it all that often, but it's interesting. So exit.
Party trick.
Yeah. Fun with shell scripts. Macs, of course, you can also do SSH, but just like for ARD, you have to enable it. So on the clients we support, we can get into there and say, let's see, I don't know one that's for sure online, right? Sancho Panza is probably online.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a Dyn DNS client is working right on that one. So this one here, the nice thing about this is I know someone's using it, but I can SSH in and do some analysis underneath them and We used this to run top and found out, oh, there were a whole lot of page outs going. We really need to get more memory in this machine. That has helped a lot, obviously. Now we're down to 0 page outs.
Look at that.
So I'm very happy with that. They ordered these brand new iMacs with 2 gigs of RAM.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that
Trying
was
to
the
save
older
money.
ones.
yeah. So we got that fixed
You
up.
end up with piles of these single gig RAM chips lying all over. Nobody wants or
That's
do anything
shame.
with.
Man, if only we could just
Yeah, it's a damn
melt them
shame, but
together and make them work
You
again.
can't, right, and you can only upgrade in 4 gigabyte slots.
Now, I found that there's a number of things you can do from the command prompt, from command line on Macs, but it's usually not very straightforward. You can install software, you can uninstall software, you can do all sorts of stuff. But a lot of times you have to Google around first to find out, oh, what's the stupid command I have to use on Mac to make this work?
You
And
can still do it.
you can do it, though.
You can do pretty much everything that you want to do. Yes,
App
but you
Store
need
you
to know
can.
the command line.
You can't install App Store
Oh, App Store.
software.
You can.
Yes, you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Ah,
Okay. I'll have to talk to you then, because I have Xcode issues.
you can pretty much do. As far as I know, you can do everything on the command line on Mac. It's just you need to Google. Or
Finding
you
out
need to
how
Google a
is
lot,
the
yeah,
hard part.
yeah.
so you're going to want to write your own scripts, because once you found out how, you got to write it down and make a script out of it. And
Actually, the best way to handle problems in Mac is actually through the command line. Then actually the
see, Sancho Panza in this case really was one of my Dyn DNS clients.
Yeah, well, that's how you got in with that IP address.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
System info, there's a command called system info, gives you like
Yeah.
everything, like memory, disk.
Yeah, that's
Serial
a good
numbers.
one. So it's great if it's online, and even if someone's logged in, you can go in there and do some analysis and maybe fix some stuff.
You gotta remember, Mac is Unix based.
Based.
Yeah.
They embraced and extended
Oh,
the
it's
Unix system.
It's coming from here.
There's very many un-Unixy stuff on
You work there, you know.
it, like upper and lower case. They don't
You
honor
didn't?
either.
Oh.
Only honor.
Aaron.
Oh, Aaron was, okay.
Longer beard.
Okay, I'm back into my Windows server to take a look at a few of the Windows tools then.
You do that through VNC?
This is remote desktop to my Windows server.
Or you didn't do that through VNC?
I'm not going to do this with VNC.
You
Yeah.
don't do like remote desktop inside the VNC and then...
Only if I have to.
Wait, do you install VNC on your Windows machines too? Or?
No, I don't. But he was joking that my VNC connection to FreeBSD, then from there I'm going to remote desktop over to this guy.
Right.
Yeah. I've been tempted in cases where I've been on a wireless network that blocked everything but port 80 and port 443. I set up SSH on my machine to listen on 443. So then I tunnel like everything I can think of, and I've done remote desktops through the tunnel. I wouldn't have done it directly from the FreeBSD machine, but yeah, that's a screwy setup, but you can get it to work.
It's like running joke. What's the straightest,
Can you
or what's
explain-
the shortest distance?
What's the most obscure, what's the story of the most obscure connection through a smartphone or another device that you've had?
Oh.
in emergency?
I was taking a field trip with my son to Alcatraz, and I had my iPad with me, and it had the 3G connection still because I'd still had that up, and I got a call from the dean's office that they'd rebooted a server and it hadn't come back up, and I knew this server, and I knew that most of the time it needs someone to just hit any key. It's not even F1. It was like, oh, we found there was some problem with memory or whatever. We're waiting for you to touch something. So I had a ITAP RDP client on the iPad. So I was able to connect to this machine, Mooney, because the KVM web interface to the data center is limited just to campus networks. So connect to this Windows server, launch IE. It doesn't work too well over Firefox for whatever reason.
It's a Belkin, KVM?
Yes, it's this guy, Avocent DSView. And then launch the KVM session to that machine, and then hit any key.
Any key.
Yeah, and because, you know, the resolution's even worse than this, right? So you get half of this screen and you have to scroll over all on an iPad. But it worked. And, you know, fortunately it was one of those cases where I knew I didn't have to type much. I just had to be able to hit a key. And for that, you know, beautiful. Okay, back to Alcatraz. Let's play around. So I think the worst part there was making sure I had the right reception. I had to wander around the boat dock for a little ways.
Well, how ironic. You're at one of the most famous prisons in the world, and it was all about keys.
Hit any key. Okay. So let's see.
Break anybody out there?
I wanted to remind you that if you have Active Directory users and computers, you can often remotely manage a machine just by doing right-click and manage.
Do you know what services that depends on the machine?
Not at all. I imagine Wins might be in there someplace.
I know we disabled the server service.
Okay, yeah, the local
Depends
services.
on the server service on the client.
Okay.
So,
Can't get to yours then,
Yeah.
or turn it on.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I can get in there and I can check the event logs. I can check the services on the machine and see what's up there. Start, stop things if I need to.
Can you use the registry?
I can do that too. And yeah, let me get to that in just a second here. We just ran across a machine the other day where the professor said, hey, every time I start this thing up, the dictionary loads. What's the deal there? And so, you know, Phil was at the console with him and they looked in the startup folder and didn't see anything, I think, right?
Right.
And so he came back and reported that to me. So, well, let's try this. We go start, run. We go to the administrative share for the C drive. Because I'm logged in on the server as a user that has administrative access, I can get directly to the C$ administrative share. And we just browsed in there under documents and settings, all users.
All users.
And that's where we found in the startup,
Yeah.
there was a dictionary. And we,
Yeah.
okay, delete the
It
link.
was a shortcut to start it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So you could still run the program later.
yeah, didn't have to go back to the client to fix it. Just got to call them up and say, hey, fixed.
Yeah. And
So-
he was happy.
Yeah, I'm going to close that right now rather than waiting for it. But similarly, if we hadn't found it there, the next place I might have looked would have been in the registry. And so I can on my server run regedit. And let me just close this up a little bit here. So here's the local server, but I can connect to a network registry like my desktop machine, Gelato. And in there, I could say, well, let's go into HKLM, software, Microsoft.
Delete all.
Yeah, delete all. Windows. Yeah, I skipped it, didn't I? Let me try that. Microsoft, Windows. Oh, it's just down off my screen. It's the resolution issue here again. Current version, run. And I can check there and say, okay, well, these things are set to auto start. And if we found the dictionary in there, we could have deleted the registry key. And then when we're done with that, we can just say, okay, I'm done with Gelato. Go ahead and disconnect. And that way also you can connect to a remote machine and you can maybe export a whole chunk of the registry if you wanted to save something before you were going to do something on the machine. Export it and just have it saved just in case. Okay, WMIC, is everyone heard of that? Because it's, I don't even know which version of Windows it was really bundled with by default. I think at least Vista, but probably XP as well. So WMIC is a cool tool, and it has an interactive shell that I don't use. I always have to just have a couple of specific examples of what I tend to use with WMIC and go Googling if I need to try some other options or something. In a case like this here, you can probe a remote machine CBAS and find out what versions of Java are installed. And you can see it'll take a little bit because it's going to start WMIC here. It's going to query the remote machine and start WMIC there. And it's going to enumerate all the installed things from the registry there and say, well, which ones are like Java something. It should only take about, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds total here.
What is WMIC? Is it a
Windows Management Instrumentation Console.
Thank you.
And you can see all up here, this is actually, I think, a listing of all the kinds of options and tools.
Instrument?
Instrumentation? And there's a service for that. There's a WMI service that runs on machines so that it can accept
So it's kind
connections. And you can add as options here the user and I guess prompt for password authentication as well. But again, in the cases I use it, I'm connecting to a machine from an account that has administrative access, so it's pretty easy. Okay, so this is taking a little longer than 20 or 30 seconds. So let's see if I can cancel out of that one. But what I can do is I can do something like where name equals the one I found, Java 7 update 15 64-bit. Call uninstall. If I typed it right.
You're telling to uninstall the application?
I'm telling it, yeah, I don't really need Java on that machine. Let's try to uninstall it. So if my connection to CBAS is decent enough here, this might actually work.
You use the same command to install?
Possibly, but I don't know what the arguments might be. What I do have a little command script that I do use to copy over a Java installer and remotely execute it. So I have remotely upgraded Java this way, but it's kind of piecemeal because this isn't something I'm applying by group policy. This is a one-off bit of business.
Most of the time.
And
You have big fix installed on.
yeah, Big Fix would be a much better way to handle Java upgrades and such. I like being able to know that if I can query with that WMIC that something is installed, I can also uninstall it remotely. And I don't care if it finishes uninstalling, I just like it to be able to show us the command it's trying to execute, and I'm not sure it's going to. So while it's thinking about that...
Can you query for the computer name there?
CBAS is up and running. It's our help desk machine.
It's Windows.
Yeah. So we'll let that one percolate.
Computer name or something, like to report back the system name. DNS name.
Oh, well, yeah, we could do that with PS tools here too. Right? So that's the last thing here under the Windows list is PS tools from sysinternals that was absorbed by Microsoft many, many years ago. I have them all in a directory here that I keep on the server and also my home directory. And so things like PS info, PS kill, PS logged on, these are fantastic, and you should have some place where you have these. It's not a real install as much as it is just unpack it and use it kind of thing, which is great. I love those. But I could do, PS list gelato, and it'll show me all the running things on my machine.
Do they still have that command that allows you to trace? It's sort of like a truss from somewhere else.
Oh, I don't know.
Trace what?
Well, you can run it with a running application and show you what's going on. Registry. They still have it in there?
Yeah, we used to use that when we had permissions problems.
So PS Tools is all part of Windows now?
It's not there by default. You can download it though. If you Google for PS Tools, you'll probably find it right away.
Okay.
And it's because it got absorbed by Microsoft, you can download it from a Microsoft site.
Do you know if the PS tools will continue to work in 2012? I haven't seen Server 2012 yet.
I wouldn't doubt it. Haven't tested it yet. But yeah, we use that extensively, or I use it extensively at least, to check on remote machines. I can take a look at what's running there, and that'll help me decide if someone's actively logged in, or is it really safe to reboot? Oh, they've got some, putty things going, or Firefox. Maybe I shouldn't bug them right now.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. Yeah. Or, oh, they've been having trouble with this one program. I can kill it remotely. I can uninstall things remotely. Okay, finally, this one's at least showing something.
There's still the problem is people with runaway browser processes.
Yeah.
Is that the most common thing that crashes your computer, runaway browser processes?
I don't know. I haven't had it, crash a computer. I've had it give people problems with site logins and such. But yeah, I have a little shell script or a command script on Windows that would, for instance, take a local Java installer.exe and copy it to, say, gelato, $C temp or whatever, and then use psexec to run it there with sysadmin privilege. And so while the user doesn't even know what's going on, maybe I might be uninstalling an old version of Java and installing a new one, or not installing a new one and just leaving Java off.
When you do that behind the scenes for a user, do they have to log out and log back in, or does the machine reboot in order for them to get the update? Or
Kind of depends on what you're doing, but
Needs to restart it as a plugin.
yeah, if it's a plugin, then restart the browser.
It's one good thing about Big Fix. I handle that.
Okay.
But that's actually really nice if you actually want to go under the cover.
Yeah, and there are some tools built into Windows that already handle remote machine connections, like for instance, you can set up jobs on Windows, and one of the options there is you can say do it on this other computer instead, and it will set up the job for you there. And that's before I had psexec. I'd used tools. I'd manually copy over an installer, and I'd use an tool to say, okay, at 2 minutes from now, let's run that installer and see what happens. Okay, well, I guess our time is almost up here. I was going to
I mean, we can't stop that.
do one more thing, but I have to grab my trial credentials here.
While you're looking, whatever happened to PC anyway?
Oh, it's like go to my PC or log me in. It's something similar to those. I don't know if it's still in existence or not.
Where's Bongar?
Bomgar is what the campus is going to be using
For what?
for remote desktop assistance.
Do you want to make a
Oh, it's like WebEx or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Copy that.
And that'll be a shared services tool?
This is shared services tool. This is not cheap.
And connects, yeah.
Bomgar starts with an appliance, so you're getting a box that shared services will house on campus. So it's not going to be like talking remotely to bomgar.com, who knows where. It's going to be talking essentially to a box on campus. But it's a way, I think.
This is what central services is doing?
Yeah.
Is it, do we out here have to buy something? Or-
Nope.
Yeah, it's free.
Nope. This is similar to the other one I listed here, join.me. It's a way of sharing a desktop with someone that doesn't involve necessarily installing a client beforehand. So if someone is at a remote site, and we could even test this if someone else has an open machine that we want to try to connect to.
Yeah.
It's supposed to work on multi-platforms.
So
I imagine it's going to work
Linux,
best on
Mac,
Windows.
Windows, what do you want? Windows?
Show me Windows. Are you
Yeah.
using Windows right now?
Oh, you want to my no Mac?
No.
I have a remote desktop to Windows. Yes.
FreeBSD.
What are you running right now on this thing?
Mac.
Yeah.
Let's do yours and see if this will work. So start. I can email you a key if you'll get that.
Oh, so I need to approve the key, not to be
So
able to
yeah,
share.
the trial version I have right now is strictly I'm making an offer to you, and you have to be at the console to say yes.
Yes. Okay.
Help
so
me.
It's a really help me.
Yeah, the full version apparently does include non-console presence. Okay, let's try this.
Voyager. You know.
Don't do it.
Yes,
IP address. I need to give you the IP address, right?
No, I'm gonna. Oh,
I've seen this. I've seen this before.
Frel.
They have to download a small client. They run it.
$46.95.
Hold on. Let's try to do this by.
You know I'm faster than you because I'm right here.
Okay, tell me the IP address again.
128.32.46.95.
All right.
So how about firewall blocking? What ports use it?
I have no idea.
Like port 80.
Yeah,
Port 80?
this I think
Oh.
is supposed to be strictly 445 for Windows and 80 for almost everything else. So, yeah, perhaps that's why it's not going to talk to the Mac directly this way.
Oh, let's find out.
Right.
Did you email him something?
I could email, but it wanted to start up Thunderbird as my default, so I don't want to go through a whole deal there.
Oh, you didn't email me?
No.
So if you emailed, you wouldn't have to get the IP address?
Right. I could send him an email and say, here's a link. You want to go ahead and join this?
How are you going to connect to my machine now?
All right, let's try it. Hang on.
Yes.
We want to see this in action. The thing about BOMGAR is it's very full-featured. It's very enterprisey. Ben Gross, I think, is the one that's kind of in charge of it at the campus level. And he could, say, set up, here's a College of Engineering instance on the thing, and it could even be branded COE. It's expensive. They charge based on the number of techs. This is aimed at the representatives who are doing the work. So if we in the college wanted, say, 4 licenses, because maybe we have more people than that, but we're only going to have, say, 4 people manning this at any given time, that would be around $11,000.
Per year.
Apparently not. He says you buy it, you got it.
Till the next upgrade.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it might be worth experimenting with the trial a little bit, because campus already is going to have the BOMGAR infrastructure. Okay, this should get to Beta.
I'm on the 4936.
Oh, get your mail. Here, let's see if this will come through in time for us to actually play with it.
You have to have a specific platform to run the originating.
No, there's even a BOMGAR rep console for iPad.
Is there one for Android?
Presumably. I haven't looked.
Actually, it would be nice to know tools that we can use actually to manage the mobile phones or iPads and everything.
Yeah, everyone wants to watch me authenticate multiple times to get a stupid email message out here.
Email stuff
I got
hasn't
it.
been resolved yet.
I got it.
They got this nice spiffy service.
Get remote support. Click here.
So is this a trial version that you've been?
I have the trial version, yes.
Oh, I do need to install an application.
I have it for a few more days, but they're perfectly happy to give us a full version to play with, BOMGAR, because they know that campus has already spent a lot of money. Campus Shared Services, I think, is invested in something like 20 or 25 licenses.
So you're saying if I go to the site and I do a trial and then I expire and then I ask for an extension, they'll give it to me?
If you sign up to do the trial, they'll be asking for your phone number, and they will call you.
Right?
They're very proactive, yeah.
You want to
Say, well, I'm not sure. Try another 30 days.
Is anything showing up, Peter? Or,
I'm opening.
okay.
I'm opening. So that's okay. So you need to download an application for it.
Yeah, I think it's like a local Java app, and Join.me is the same kind of thing. It's an online service. There's a free and a paid version of it, and you can connect with mom or grandma or something just by saying, you know, here's a link, or go to this site and type in this 6-digit number or whatever.
This application was all